This podcast contains music and properties that are not specifically authorized by the copyright holder. We believe that this constitutes fair use as provided in Section 107 of the United States Copyright Law in accordance with Title 17 USC Section 107. The podcast material is provided without profit to those who are interested in these materials. Hello, everyone.
Hey.
Welcome back to another episode of the Monkey Oz podcast, Lorecast. Sorry, I just made it sound Lorecast to make it seem a little bit more original. Today, I actually have a co-host. It's not just me by myself. uh, obviously, me, Simeon, Red Navratilova, Simi, the big boss, big owner man. But here I'm today. I'm here today with Ronan, our co-host for tonight. If you want to
Hi,
introduce
how are
yourself
y'all doing? I'm Ronan. I'm a gorilla. So
in real life too. He's got a
yeah, in
desk
real
full of
life
banana. He's
also.
like recording this on a banana mic right now.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm in like the jungle right now too. So the service isn't great out here.
Yeah, but it'll get us by for the podcast, you know.
Yeah, it'll be all right.
I'm in New Monk City right now, even though it got destroyed by Engstrom Luther a little while ago. But we're still doing pretty all right in some of the suburb parts that he didn't hit as bad.
Yeah.
I have a pretty strong banana width going to the gorilla jungles right now where you're at.
Yeah. Just hit me up, man. Like, can eat some bananas sometime. So
Yeah. So the topic of today's episode is going to be the pardon me, inspirations of the Isles, and this is kind of like as the little expedition episodes that I'm gonna go through either with a host or by myself. It's kind of he wasn't one of the original hosts because the other two hosts that are supposed to be doing this, who are impossible to get on at the same time, are Chive and Trebek, and I didn't even really want to try that, but I knew Ronan would be pretty open to helping out with this since he's been here longer than I have, you know, and he's worked a lot closer with Lamont, being a lot closer of a friend with him, especially with like Old Isles lore. So,
of course.
and we're gonna just start off with what the Monkey Isles is based off of. If you want to talk a little bit first, Ronan.
So the Monkey Isles originally it stems. So in middle school, me and my friends were kind of weird. So we used to joke about monkeys a lot for whatever reason. And so Lamont like came up with the idea of this island with all sorts of just apes and whatnot. And it was like the Seven Isles of the Chimps. And it just kind of took off from there. And Lamont was created from a text message, kind of a weird story. So my my other friend Gamba, he sent a picture of an orangutan to Lamont, and he typed LMAO, but it auto corrected to Lamont, so that's how the character was created, which is all kind of stemmed off from there.
Yeah, and that's kind of like a funny thing is that like a lot of Isles characters have like normal human names. Like there's a couple like far out there ones, like
Yeah, like Worry Bar,
yeah, Warrior.
Mini.
Well, that was a dwarf name, so I guess we can't really go too much to human. But you got ones like Luther, Johnson. you know, s-
Yeah,
s-
Johnson,
yeah. I guess now we got like characters
Johnny,
like Cheeg. Yeah, Johnny the blacksmith. He's a pretty important guy
weird.
himself. He's an
Yeah.
eccentric character to say the least.
Maybe we'll get him on here one day. Who knows?
I know he's a pretty busy guy though. He's a big forge smith. He has a lot of contracts going on for swords and axes and the
He
like.
does. Been doing it for many centuries.
Many centuries. Yeah, he's old too. How isn't he like 400 at least? I think.
I heard he's like 900 or
Oh
something,
wow,
man.
that's
Yeah,
like that's
he's seen
almost
a
as old
lot
as
of
me.
stuff. Yeah.
So Monkey Isles is like it's kind of bloomed from Lamont's creative TikToks. Oh fuck! I just dropped. Oh, I didn't mean to say that. I'm sorry. I just dropped a bunch of rubber bands on top of myself.
Good,
uh,
bro.
Monkey Isles is just like a big creative input from a lot of different people. Obviously the people listening to this are probably going to know it best.
Of
Because
course.
they were the ones who helped build this, and it really depends on each author, each individual person, what what their characters, what their like regions, like
It's
what they base them off is like kind of based off their own personal experiences. Like there's a lot
their own
of
interest.
yeah, definitely because you got character. I remember during 2021 that was like the peak of Attack on Titan in the Monkey Isles.
Oh God. Yeah, people like growing inside. It was all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, well, there was like it wasn't just the growing in size. That thing kind of stayed on after. But like I'm
Yeah.
talking about, yeah, Ymir was directly named after a character from uh, Attack on Titan, and then the Nordic Empire at the time in the Isles had like this big city with a bunch of different walls that were named basically in the same type of fashion that Attack on Titan's walls were, which is pretty silly, but like things like that have played big parts in the lore just because people have kind of picked up on them. Like I myself,
They just integrated over time.
yeah, it's
They
just
molded into
sorry.
like I guess they molded into the lore. Like they just eventually just yeah, we just kind of stuck with it.
Yeah, they some of them
Yes.
started off as like direct copies, I think, and they
But
just
and then they evolved into their own thing
yeah, and we put our own spin
over
on
time.
things. You know,
Of course, yeah,
like there's inspiration from really anywhere. Like uh,
yeah.
Simeon, my character, he had a big inspiration from a couple of different characters. Uncle Iroh from Avatar: The Last Airbender is one of them. Uh, but I feel like
Ice King,
Ice King too, because he's just kind of crazy like that. I love Ice King. He's like one of my favorite villains of like anything. Dude, he's hilarious. But that's
dude,
kind of
he is great.
yeah, and
Another,
that's just part of like some some of the like what I based my lore off of. Like right now, we're going through the story of Angstrom Luther, which if you've read Invincible, that name probably sounds somewhat familiar because of Angstrom Levy from the Invincible comics and TV show, who's a pretty big villain, and they have a similar enough power where they can traverse worlds. But again, it's the Isle's way of taking something but making it uniquely our own. So we kind of do it with that, like, and yeah, it's just an amalgamation. And people making
all
fun of the
sorts.
Isles have like called it like an anime, like just anime ripoff, which isn't too much of a lie, honestly. But
Yeah,
there's some anime, some real life, I guess, because going by species and like nations, if you know much about the Isles, it's a bunch of different islands that are kind of just each their own little biospheres and like little cultural like different like the north
yeah.
has like very Nordic inspired culture, where there's regions that have Mongolian or Japanese inspired culture too.
Chinese, even like Aztecs, and
Oh yeah, Aztec was pretty cool. I like that stuff. But
that is very cool. Even
China.
Egypt, when you go to the deserts in the south,
Oh yeah, Biluratonge. That's like pretty Egyptian, but it's also kind of like I don't know. That's a strange place. It's like it's very diverse, but it's like
but it's
there's a
also
lot going
very
on there.
like dangerous and mysterious.
Yeah. Uh, I feel like ancient Chinese culture played a lot in the Isles. Like back in the day, one of the biggest thing was like, well, the TikToks that we used to make would be like these like videos of monkeys with like Chinese flute music with these inspirational quotes.
Yeah, that's how it stemmed from Lamont doing that. People started asking him questions about the Isles, so and then
It Yeah, it just kind of bloomed.
asking him for advice, and this all came into fruition.
Yeah, and people would ask about like these silly things like what about the myth of the golden banana and
Yeah, they just start making up stuff, and then it would just come out and keep just kind of keep rolling.
yeah, and 4 years later, it's like one of the biggest like pieces of lore that we have because there's entire wars fought over the golden banana, and it's such an important like artifact and relic to history. It's
Entire multiple wars fought over the banana, like multiple conflicts stemmed from it, like over time.
yeah, and it's something you can see with a lot of Isles characters or like names of things is they're based off of other things. Like a big villain, Labao, is I'm uh, pretty sure just because I know the guy who wrote his character was like the Big Lebowski, and I'm pretty sure it's like such an evil character as Labao was named after the Big Lebowski, which is pretty funny, I think.
Yeah,
Or you know, like there was some names from Planet of the Apes because early Monkey Isles had a lot of Planet of the Apes inspiration. I'm not saying that it still doesn't. Like characters
of
like
course.
oh yeah, like characters like
Maurice,
oh yeah, Maurice, the smart orangutan.
yeah,
Co-
Koba.
yeah, Koba
Koba
was a
was a
pretty
gorilla though, so different from, but still.
yeah, he's a pretty evil character though. Same thing with well, Caesar was a chimp, but it was like an Arctic chimp, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was.
Yeah, Arctic chimps are like something else in the lore. Uh, but those, and I must admit, I've never watched any of the Planet of the Apes movies, and as like
I
the
haven't
owner,
seen them in years. I haven't seen the new one yet, so
I wanted to
maybe
go see the
I
new
don't
one,
know.
but I don't think I'd like understand it, you know?
Yeah, it's best to watch the. I would recommend watching the other ones first, but
Yeah, and I was getting made fun of when I brought up that I've never watched any of the movies before because it's something so like ape centric, and it doesn't. I'm not
yeah,
like
yeah. So many people, yeah, love those movies. But let's get back.
yeah. There's a lot of real world inspirations too. You can, we said with the culture, something that I know with the religious aspect of the Isles, there's a couple different religions. Like, I would say that there's a parallel between Christianity and Islam in it, because there's the Safishuism, which is the biggest widespread religion, which is spread mostly by colonialism and just like evangelism. And it kind of has like its own Catholic and Orthodox church with like a schism that occurred with it. And because there's a
Yeah,
couple
all
different
sorts of
sects of it.
history. Yes, all sorts of history with that, all sorts of
Yeah,
conflicts.
because there's like an old Holy Lands, a new Holy Lands, kind of similar to Constantinople and Rome in the modern era, I guess. Because one of them's like been taken over by another religion, the other one kind of hasn't, you know. Or like Bonkism, its flag, well not the flag. It has. Hold on, let me try and find the Bonkist symbol, but it looks pretty similar to both Judaism and uh, Islam because it has like the star, but it also has a Star of David on it. It's kind of weird. Let me try and see.
Indeed.
And it's the only real like rival to yeah
Safashuism.
yeah Safishuism because it's like and it's a lot it's newer it's not as old as Safishuism where it has been for like it's been around for hundreds of years. Now
There's
it's
also a lot of old like religions that are like would also be like distinct to a single species or like any sort of clan or tribe,
Yeah, similar
which
like
aren't like
folk
necessarily
religion.
the Chaos Clans, I believe. Yes, they have their own religion.
Yeah, they have like their own pantheon. I know gorillas have like their own type of like gorillas and orangutans both because they both evolve very peacefully. Well,
They did.
orangutans much more so than the um what do you call it,
Gorillas.
gorillas? Yeah, but they like are kind of like Buddhist or Taoist inspiration, which that kind of goes back to old Isles lore where it was super inspired by this old like monastic type of feeling with like the Chinese culture because of how everyone used to address each other. You'd address like another monkey as brother, brother Ronin when you'd be talking to him, or elder, or high elder, or something like that.
Or youngling, or
Yeah, youngling.
yes,
Because
all
the
sorts of
youngling.
youngling.
Yeah, youngling was how you'd refer to someone like someone who was new to the server back in the day. It was pretty funny because people would get mad like I'm an elder. It was, no, you're not. You're a youngling. You're new.
Yeah.
But it's a very patterned history, I think, and I love like the different like pieces of inspiration that people bring to the Isles. There's parts of the Isles you could call them like the Wild West. One of my favorite regions is Tofrochi. It's a small island south of the Big Island Thaw, and it's like
It's completely
Louisiana.
swamp.
Yeah, it's like Louisiana
Yes.
bio swamp style.
Bayou.
Yeah, and they like ride alligators and stuff, and there's like lizard monkeys. Well, lizard proboscis, because they're like temple
Oh,
guardians. What is
yeah. There's a whole story with that. They got like blessed by some sort of like
Yeah,
deity. It's
let me find the
a
name for
mess.
that.
But
Yeah, reptilian proboscis. I thought it was something special. Yeah, they're blessed by like some deity who offered them powers never before seen in exchange for them staying in the swamps and protecting his temples. I wrote this lore. I should be able to remember it.
yeah, it's a while ago though.
Yeah, that has been like almost 6 months now that I think about it.
Yeah.
One of my uh, favorite things about the Owls is magic. It's pretty synonymous that if you have fantasy, you're going to have magic. Even a lot of sci-fi universes, they have some type of magic. In Star Wars, they have the Force. In Dune, they have spice, which is a drug, but it unlocks like prescience and stuff like that. But like, the best way I could describe magic in the Isles is just more like, screw you. This is magic. I don't know how it works, but I know how it works because it's magic. You know.
Yeah, it's just all sorts of powers and
Mhm.
it can be a little crazy, like different types of magic, elemental magic and
Yeah, elemental's like the most like widely known, but
like
similarly,
water, fire, lightning, all sorts of stuff.
yeah, poop magic too. You can't forget that. That's a pretty important school.
It's a pretty obscure one, but
Yeah, it used to
you
be
know,
pretty big back in the day. It was before the Brood came, is when the poop magic was real popular.
yeah, it kind of died down a little. You don't see too many poop magic users these days.
I know Simeon's been trying to start up a school of poop recently, though.
Mm, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'd be interested in enrolling. Be kind of smelly though, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, could be. It's pretty useful though.
Yeah, it could be. Definitely, if I think you fall in the sewer someday, you never know how you're gonna
Yeah,
get out. uh, but similarly to like cultures, magic is pretty centralized. Like depending on where you're at, different regions have their different types of magic. Like proboscis have their sneezing magic. Howler monkeys have howling magic. You know, it's not just like some of them like Gigantopithecus have their own like earth magic, like their own schools of earth magic. But so do other species. But like something like a proboscis
mm,
or a howler monkey can like they're the only ones who can learn that because they're specialized body to them. Like proboscis have really long nose. Howler monkeys can yell really loud.
yeah, and yeah, it's specialized to certain species.
Yeah, and something I did when I made like languages of the Isles when I described that was like uh, I based that a lot off of like real life European language. Like starts as like Indo-European, where in the Monkey Owl starts as Indo-Oppish or Proto-Oppish or something like that, and it just branches out. And that's another big real life inspiration, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Ronan, do you mind saying where you get some of your like inspirations for like arcing? I know you're pretty big like DC Universe fan.
Oh yeah. So I got a lot of my inspiration from a lot of interest I had when I was younger, whether it be like cartoons I watched, like you said, like DC, Marvel, Star Wars, stuff like that. And depends on the lore writing though. For like when it came to when I would write for cities, a lot of the time I would kind of base a lot of the history and whatnot off of like I used to be very interested in like like old oh, I guess like the industry like part of it like the industrial era of the United States. So I would base a lot of the cities off of like sort of base the history and like the state of the cities off of that
Yeah, like
if that makes
Monkeyplex and
sense.
Arcala. Then you went with
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah,
those sorts of things.
yeah, and it's again it's different for every person you're gonna ask. Like again, Waribar, that name is like he said it came from a dwarf name generator when we
Yeah,
asked him about it, but I know his lore is just mostly like Scandinavian inspired since he's Swedish. You know, uh, I don't really know too much of the popular culture stuff that he'd base his stuff off of. I know.
he loves Garfield.
Oh yeah, Garfield. That's a pretty. I don't
He
know
does love
who he based
Garfield.
him off of. I don't
I
know
don't
if he
know,
has
man.
like
Just
Garfield
probably
character.
something. Probably
Probably.
something.
We didn't notice it. Yeah. Although I know Luther, he based his off of A Song of Ice and Fire, which is just like the book series that the Game of Thrones come from.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Well, yes, yes.
like I talked to him a lot about that because he put me onto
Warrior Bar
those
I know
books.
also did. Warrior Bar did too, I believe.
Yeah. I haven't watched the show. I'm just reading the books though. Uh,
Nice, nice. I know a lot of people have watched this show and they say it's very good.
yeah. My parents said it's
I
really good.
remember
It's
single
just really
time.
long. Uh, Another like cool thing about the Isles though is like it's and a lot of people's inspirations where they get to do like silly little things is like it's huge. The Isles didn't have like a main character or anything. It's
It
meant to be like
varies by the storyline,
yeah,
really.
it's like it's an open canvas. Like uh we could have like
You can kind of just set your character in there.
yeah, we had like stupid little arcs like Simeon's Bizarre Adventure, which I'll give you a wild guess for that what that's based off of, but it didn't really
Yeah,
have
and
like an
it wasn't even just based off of that. I mean, you had all like regular show inspirations and
oh
stuff in
yeah.
that too.
Yeah, it was meant to be like something stupid or silly, but it didn't really have like a profound effect on the story, despite it being it lasted a while, or something like the Liberators War, which it was a pretty big war, but it was only really like fought between well three I guess if you count the Howlers their own during it. It was a pretty like localized thing. Like it didn't really spill much out, or the ooh crap I gotta pull that out. The not Howler, the Yeti Civil War that lasted 2 real years. Like that lasted like a long time in real life. I don't know what it translated to in the Isles. They said it was 10 years just to like make it look right, like 5 or 10 years, because in the Isles I think that was like 30 years of like actual time in the Isles passed over 2 different years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, it's just there's a whole lot of inspiration. We'll get into it more in other episodes, but I think that'll be about it for now. Do you have anything else to say, Ronan?
No, I really don't.
Yeah.
Um, would you like to say anything else?
Yeah, I gotta let everyone know. I gotta go back to the mango farm. I think I hear the tax collector's coming. I gotta go pay my Tetra Kingdom tax, the import
Yeah.
tax.
I
Yeah.
gotta go. I'm probably just gonna go eat a couple of bananas, maybe a few watermelons, and then I'm gonna call
Ooh,
it a night.
fancy. Nice. All right. Well, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for coming on, Ronan. I'm glad to finally have a co-host, even though it's only been like 3 days since I published the first episode.
Yeah, of course.
But I'm hopefully be having you back in the future. All right. See you guys. Make sure to
Yeah.
rate 5 stars and follow me on Spotify or whatever you're listening to this on.